Ladies and gentlemen, as we stand on the edge of this new year, I want to speak directly to your heart. I want you to forget the noise, forget the distractions, forget the opinions of others, and remember this one truth: you owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself in 2025 to rise above the excuses you've made for years. The world will always offer you an excuse: your past, your pain, your fear, your environment, but those are not life sentences. They're just chapters, and you're the author. This year it's time to write something better. Not for them, not to prove a point, but because you deserve more. You owe it to yourself to chase the vision that keeps you up at night. You know, that whisper in your soul, that idea, that dream, that goal. It's not there by accident. 2025 is not just another calendar year. It is an opportunity, a divine permission slip to finally become what you've imagined. But you must chase it, not someday, not next week. You owe it to yourself in 2025 to take full responsibility for your life. That means no more blame, no more waiting for someone to come and fix things, no more excuses wrapped in clever justifications. This is the year you look in the mirror and decide, no matter where you came from, no matter what happened before, the power to change your life lies with you. Too many people live their lives reacting to circumstances instead of creating them. They point fingers at the economy, at the government, at their parents, at their boss, at the people who wronged them. But pointing fingers never built anything. Responsibility does. You are not your circumstances. You are your decisions. Yes, maybe you didn't choose everything that happened to you, but you do choose how you respond. Every single day you wake up, you are gifted with the chance to write a new chapter. And yet, too often we carry yesterday's story into today's reality. We drag around old narratives, stories of failure, betrayal, fear, limitation, and we let them define us. But 2025 is not a continuation of your past unless you let it be. It can be a completely new beginning, but it only starts when you take ownership of where you are and who you want to become. Taking full responsibility doesn't mean blaming yourself for everything. It means owning your power. It means accepting that while you may not control everything, you control your attitude, your response, your effort, and your actions. That's more power than you think. There are people who've built incredible lives starting with nothing because they didn't wait for permission. They didn't sit around hoping someone would believe in them. They believed in themselves. They made the decision to rise no matter what. This year, stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for the perfect timing. The truth is, the perfect time never comes. The stars will never perfectly align. The universe isn't going to knock on your door and say, "You're ready now." No, you become ready by deciding. You become powerful by moving. Motion creates momentum. Progress comes from action, not from endless planning, not from overthinking, and definitely not from blaming others. You may have been through hell. You may have been betrayed, ignored, dismissed, underestimated. You may have failed once, twice, maybe 100 times, but you're still here. And if you're still here, there's more left for you to do. But first, you've got to stop living like a victim of your own story. You are not powerless. You are not broken. You are not stuck unless you choose to stay stuck. Taking responsibility is not always comfortable. In fact, it's often painful because it means facing the truth. It means admitting that maybe you haven't been giving your best, that maybe you let fear decide too many things, that maybe you've been procrastinating on your potential. But facing that truth is how you take your power back. It's how you stop living by default and start living by design. In 2025, tell yourself the truth even when it hurts. Ask yourself, am I really doing the work? Am I really committed? Or am I just busy being busy? Am I hiding behind distractions and blaming others because it's easier than showing up and doing the hard stuff? Radical honesty with yourself is step one. Not for shame, not to beat yourself up, but to grow. Because growth lives in truth, and from that truth, you can finally build. No more waiting for the right coach, the right relationship, the right opportunity to change your life. Those things might help, yes, but the real transformation begins when you step forward and say, "This is mine to change. No one else, me." When you begin to act as if your life is 100% your responsibility, you stop waiting and start moving. You stop complaining and start creating. You stop envying and start working. That shift is what will make 2025 different from every year before it. You owe it to yourself to realize that no one is coming to save you. That's not depressing. That's empowering, because it means you get to be the hero. You get to be the one who says, this ends with me. The excuses end here. The cycles end here. The waiting ends here. It's not easy. It's not glamorous, but it's the beginning of freedom. When you stop looking outward and start looking inward, your life changes. You stop looking at others' timelines and start honoring your own. You stop comparing and start becoming. You don't need validation. You don't need approval. What you need is ownership. Ownership of your time, ownership of your choices, ownership of your energy, ownership of your results. This year, commit to showing up, not just once, not just when you feel like it. Show up daily. Show up for your goals. Show up for your health. Show up for your mindset. Show up for the life you know you're capable of living. You don't have to get it perfect. You just have to get it going. Responsibility doesn't mean perfection. It means consistency. At the end of this year, when you look back on 2025, what story do you want to tell? One where you kept blaming, kept waiting, kept hiding, or one where you stood up and owned your journey? One where you finally said, I'm not a product of my past, I'm the architect of my future. You owe it to yourself to make this the year you stop running from your greatness and start rising into it. It starts with responsibility, not tomorrow, not next month, now. Because no one else can live your life for you, and no one else owes you a better life. But you owe it to yourself, and now is the time to claim it. You owe it to yourself in 2025 to pursue your vision relentlessly, that quiet dream you keep tucked away in your heart. It's not random, it's not foolish, it's not impossible, it's yours for a reason. And this is the year you stop treating it like a fantasy and start treating it like a responsibility. No one else is going to chase it for you. No one else even needs to understand it. But you must honor it, because that vision is your soul's compass, and ignoring it is the fastest route to regret. Every great achievement in this world started with a single person who believed in something before it existed. And that belief, that fire, pushed them to get up early, stay up late, keep going when things fell apart, and rise again when no one was cheering. In 2025, you owe it to yourself to be that kind of person. Not just a dreamer, but a doer. Someone who dares to take their vision seriously, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's lonely, even when it's hard. You know what your vision looks like. Maybe it's a business, a book, a career change, a healthier body, a better mindset, a life of peace and purpose. Whatever it is, you've probably seen flashes of it, maybe in your imagination, maybe in the quiet moments before bed, or maybe in your frustration with your current situation. Those flashes are not there to tease you, they're there to guide you, but only if you listen, only if you act. This is the year to stop hesitating. Stop waiting for permission, stop waiting until it all makes sense, or until you feel ready. No one ever feels fully ready. Pursuing your vision will never come with a perfect map. It will come with uncertainty. It will test you. It'll scare you, but that's how you know it's real. That's how you know it matters. The things that truly matter will always stretch you beyond what feels safe. You owe it to yourself to follow that stretch, to lean into the discomfort of growth. Because vision without action is just a daydream, but vision with commitment, with daily consistent effort, becomes reality. You won't always feel inspired, you won't always feel confident, but you can always choose to keep going. Progress doesn't require perfection, it requires persistence. It requires showing up even when the excitement fades and the results are slow. Your vision is yours for a reason. Not everyone will see it. Not everyone will support it. That's okay. It's not their job to understand it. It's yours to pursue it. The people who laugh now may ask for your help later. The ones who doubt you now might be the first to say, I knew you could do it when you succeed. But you can't chase your vision for approval. You have to chase it because your future depends on it. You owe it to yourself to stop shrinking your dreams to fit your current reality. Your circumstances today are not your destiny. They are just a starting point. Vision is about seeing beyond where you are, beyond what you have, beyond what seems logical. Vision is what makes you show up differently. It turns ordinary people into legends, not because they were born special, but because they refused to quit. In 2025, wake up every day and ask yourself, what can I do today to get closer to my vision? It doesn't have to be big, it just has to be real. One page written, one workout done, one call made, 1 hour of focused work. Vision grows when it's fed by action. And every small step adds up. Before you know it, momentum builds, confidence builds, clarity builds. You start to feel it, the gap between who you are and who you want to be begins to close. You owe it to yourself to protect your vision. That means protecting your time, your energy, your focus. Cut the distractions, reduce the noise, social media, scrolling, toxic conversations, mindless entertainment. All of these things steal from the time and energy your dream requires. In 2025, be ruthless with your attention. Treat your vision like it matters, because it does. You will be tested, there will be setbacks, there will be days when it feels like nothing is working. That's part of the process. Keep going. Every great story has chapters of struggle, but the struggle is what makes the story worth telling. The pain sharpens your focus. The obstacles build your strength. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. You owe it to yourself to become obsessed with your growth. Read, learn, improve. Get around people who stretch your thinking, who challenge your excuses, who inspire your hustle. In 2025, build an environment that supports your vision. You can't grow in soil that keeps poisoning your roots. Your vision deserves better. You deserve better. Don't worry about how long it will take. Time will pass anyway. The question is, who will you be when it does? You could be someone who settled for maybe someday, or someone who chased their vision like it was oxygen. Be that second person. Be the one who looks back in December 2025 and says, I gave it everything I had. You owe it to yourself, not just to dream, but to demand more from yourself. To live with fire, to pursue with focus, to endure with faith. Your vision is a gift, and 2025 is your time to unwrap it. The world may not be ready for your dream yet, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that you are. And the only way you fail is if you stop trying. So don't stop. Don't slow down. Don't let this year slip away with your dream still sitting on the shelf. Pull it down, dust it off, and go after it like your life depends on it. Because maybe, just maybe, it does. You owe it to yourself in 2025 to reject mediocrity and comfort zones. You were not born to live a life of average, to merely get by, or to exist in the middle when you were meant to lead, grow, and thrive. Somewhere along the way, you may have convinced yourself that good enough is acceptable, that survival is success, and that comfort equals happiness. But deep down, you know that isn't true. Comfort zones may feel safe, but they are dangerous because they slowly kill your ambition and suffocate your potential without you even realizing it. Mediocrity doesn't scream, it whispers. It convinces you to hit the snooze button just one more time. It tells you you've done enough for today when you know you could have pushed harder. It makes you settle in your job, your health, your mindset, and your relationships, because it's easier than growing, easier than taking risks, and easier than failing. But easier is not the goal. Fulfillment is. Purpose is. Progress is. In 2025, it's time to disrupt that pattern. You owe it to yourself to challenge every area of your life where you've been playing small. Maybe you've built a routine, a lifestyle, or even an identity around safety, doing just enough, showing just enough, caring just enough to get by. But let me ask you, what has just enough ever given you besides frustration, regret, and that gnawing sense that something is missing? Comfort zones are seductive. They tell you that you're in control, that nothing bad will happen as long as you stay where you are. But what they don't tell you is that nothing great will happen either. Growth never happens inside your comfort zone. Confidence is never built there. Mastery is never forged there. Dreams are never realized there. Everything you want, every goal, every breakthrough, every level of freedom and success lives on the other side of discomfort. This year, you must be willing to trade comfort for courage. You must do the things you've been avoiding. You must run toward the resistance instead of away from it. That conversation you've been scared to have it. That project you've been putting off, start it. That risk you've been too cautious to take it. Because nothing changes if you don't. You owe it to yourself to stop settling for fine. Your job is fine, your health is fine, your energy is fine. But what if you were meant for extraordinary? What if you're supposed to feel passionate about your work, energized in your body, alive in your relationships, and fully engaged in your day-to-day life? Fine is the enemy of greatness. It keeps you in lukewarm waters where nothing burns, nothing breaks, but nothing thrives either. Stepping out of mediocrity requires standards. In 2025, raise yours. Decide that average is unacceptable. Decide that just because others are coasting doesn't mean you have to. Decide that you will no longer lower your ceiling just to make others comfortable. This is your life. You get one shot, make it count. Rejection of mediocrity is not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about waking up each day and saying, how can I be better today than I was yesterday? Not because you hate where you are, but because you respect your potential too much to waste it. You have talents you haven't used, you have strength you haven't tapped into. You have value that hasn't been fully expressed. Mediocrity will keep all of that buried unless you choose to rise. In 2025, be willing to be uncomfortable. That's where growth happens. That's where leaders are made. That's where confidence is built. When you do something hard, when you push past fear, when you stretch yourself, when you show up even when it's tough, you earn something that comfort will never give you: pride, respect, and self-belief. And don't let the world convince you that settling is noble. Too often, people will celebrate you for shrinking. They'll praise you for being realistic. But realistic is just another word for scared. Let them be afraid if they want. You don't have to be. You can choose to be bold. You can choose to want more. That's not selfish, that's necessary. You owe it to yourself to stop fearing failure. Because failure is not what holds most people back. Mediocrity is, you can pound back from a mistake, you can recover from a risk, but you cannot recover from years of unused potential and the haunting thought of what could have been. Don't look back at 2025 and wonder why you played it safe. Look back and know you gave it everything. Stop negotiating with your future. Stop making deals with laziness. Stop compromising with comfort. You owe it to yourself to go all in, to expect more from your days, to demand more from your habits, to walk away from anything that asks you to settle. Yes, it will be hard. But hard is not the enemy. Mediocre is. And every time you push beyond what's comfortable, you're proving that you're capable of more. You're rewiring your mind. You're training your character. You're becoming someone the old version of you wouldn't even recognize, and that's the goal. This is the year you step out of the middle, out of autopilot, out of the background. You step forward, step higher, and step into your potential, because you owe it to yourself not just to live, but to live fully. To not just exist, but to excel. To not just survive, but to soar. And it starts with one bold decision to never again settle for less than you are capable of. That is how you win 2025. You owe it to yourself in 2025 to be disciplined, to do the hard things even when no one is watching, to stick to your goals long after the motivation fades, and to honor the commitments you made to yourself when it was easy to believe. Because let's be honest, motivation comes and goes, but discipline, that's what builds legacies. That's what creates lasting change. It's not about feeling good every day. It's about doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is the bridge between your goals and your results. It's the quiet force behind every strong body, every successful business, every powerful mind, every peaceful life. Without discipline, even the best plans collapse. With discipline, even the smallest habits compound into greatness. In 2025, if you truly want to rise to a new level mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, then you must decide right now that you will no longer let your emotions dictate your actions. You will follow through, not because it's fun, but because it's required. Being disciplined means getting up when the alarm goes off, not when you feel ready. It means going to the gym when you'd rather rest, studying when your mind wants a break, working when others are playing. It means choosing your future over your feelings. Most people fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack consistency. They show up when it's easy and they disappear when it's hard. But if you can master the art of showing up no matter what, there's almost nothing you can't achieve. You owe it to yourself to stop depending on short-term bursts of inspiration and start building long-term habits. The truth is, your results in life will reflect what you do repeatedly, not what you do occasionally. If you want to change your life in 2025, change what you do every single day. Discipline isn't about giant leaps, it's about tiny decisions made again and again that align with your vision. That means eating right even when junk food is calling your name. That means saving money even when spending would feel better. That means turning off distractions so you can focus. Those decisions don't always feel rewarding in the moment, but they compound into results you can be proud of. Real discipline isn't loud. It's not something you post about on social media. It's what you do in the dark when no one is clapping, no one is watching, and no one is cheering you on. That's when it matters most. It's easy to be disciplined when the spotlight is on. But what about when the audience is gone? What about when the motivation fades and the struggle begins? That's when discipline becomes your greatest asset. That's when your habits must carry you forward. That's when the real growth begins. You owe it to yourself to stop making excuses. Yes, you're busy. Yes, life is hard, but your goals don't care about your excuses, and neither does your future. Time will pass anyway. The question is, will you be better when it does? Excuses feel good temporarily, but they steal your potential one day at a time. Discipline demands that you rise above the easy way out and take ownership of your outcomes. Discipline is about respect, not just for your goals, but for yourself. When you break promises to yourself, you chip away at your confidence. But every time you follow through, even when it's tough, you build trust in yourself. That trust turns into momentum. That momentum turns into pride. And that pride fuels even more discipline. It becomes a cycle, a powerful positive cycle that elevates every area of your life. In 2025, don't just wish for results, work for them. Build routines that support your goals. Schedule your success. Track your progress. Wake up with purpose. Go to bed with intention. Discipline means making time for what matters, not waiting to find the time. It means prioritizing long-term satisfaction over short-term comfort. It's the ultimate act of self-love because it means you believe your future is worth fighting for. And yes, it will be hard. There will be days you want to quit. Days when the progress feels invisible. Days when the old habits call you back. But if you can push through those days, you'll find yourself in places you never imagined possible. Because most people quit at 40%, 50%, maybe 60% of their potential. Discipline is what helps you push past that. It helps you access that final 20, 30, 40%, the part of you that's built for greatness but rarely gets tapped. You owe it to yourself to master your mornings. The way you start your day determines how you live your day. Don't let your phone, emails, or social media hijack your focus. Take time for yourself. Train your body. Sharpen your mind. Set your intentions. Discipline your mornings, and you'll dominate your day. And remember, discipline is not punishment. It's preparation. It's not about restriction, it's about freedom. When you're disciplined with your time, you gain more of it. When you're disciplined with your health, you gain energy. When you're disciplined with your money, you gain security. Discipline is the key to unlocking a life that's bigger, bolder, and more fulfilling than anything comfort could ever offer. So in 2025, commit fully. Create a plan. Set high standards. Build structure. Stick to your habits. And when it gets hard, because it will, remind yourself that this is the price of excellence. Remind yourself that your goals are worth the struggle, that your future self is depending on your present effort. Because at the end of this year, you won't remember every easy day, but you'll remember the days you showed up anyway, the days you pushed through, the days you kept your promise, not to anyone else, but to yourself. You owe it to yourself to be disciplined. This is your year. Now show up like it. You owe it to yourself in 2025 to heal, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Healing is not weakness. Healing is power. It is the quiet, courageous process of confronting the pain you've buried, the wounds you've ignored, the trauma you've survived, and saying, I am no longer defined by this. Too many people carry the weight of yesterday into today and wonder why they can't move forward. But you can't build a new life on top of old pain. At some point, you must choose to release it, to process it, and to grow from it. This is the year you give yourself permission to let go. You owe it to yourself to stop pretending you're okay when you're not, to stop pushing pain into dark corners, hoping it will go away on its own. It won't. Pain that isn't dealt with quietly shapes how you think, how you react, how you love, and how you live. If you've been angry, bitter, guarded, anxious, or disconnected, ask yourself what's really behind that. So often it's not that life is bad now, but that the past still has a grip on your heart. Healing means looking at those moments that broke you and deciding they will not define your future any longer. Healing isn't linear. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not always beautiful or Instagram worthy. Sometimes it's crying alone. Sometimes it's setting boundaries. Sometimes it's having uncomfortable conversations. Sometimes it's walking away from people you love because they keep hurting you. And sometimes it's just choosing to breathe deeply and keep going when everything in you wants to shut down. That's healing too. You owe it to yourself to make space for that process, however messy it gets. You may have been taught to suppress your emotions, to stay strong, to keep pushing no matter what. But real strength is not pretending you're invincible. Real strength is admitting that you're human, that you've been hurt, that you need time, that you deserve peace. Healing doesn't make you soft, It makes you real. And once you face your pain, you take away its power to control you. In 2025, stop glorifying distraction. Stop numbing the pain with food, with scrolling, with work, with shallow entertainment, with toxic relationships. That's not healing, that's avoiding. And the longer you avoid it, the louder it becomes. It will show up in your sleep, your stress, your inability to trust, your procrastination, your constant need to prove yourself. But once you sit with it, feel it, and understand it, you begin to reclaim your power. You begin to live from a place of freedom, not fear. You owe it to yourself to forgive, not always because they deserve it, because you deserve peace. Forgiveness isn't about erasing the past or letting people off the hook. It's about choosing not to carry the pain any longer. It's about unhooking yourself from the bitterness that poisons your joy. When you forgive, you're not saying what happened was okay. You're saying, I'm done letting it control me. That is one of the most liberating things you can do for yourself. Healing also means forgiving yourself for the times you stayed too long, for the times you didn't know better, for the things you tolerated when you should have walked away, for the mistakes you made when you were just trying to survive. You did the best you could with what you had and what you knew at the time. Beating yourself up for the past only keeps you stuck there. In 2025, give yourself grace. Give yourself compassion. You deserve it just as much as anyone else. You owe it to yourself to stop chasing people who don't value your worth. Not everyone will understand your healing journey, and that's okay. Not everyone is meant to come with you. Sometimes the healing path requires solitude. It requires you to step back, detach, and focus on your inner world. You don't need to be surrounded by people to find peace. You just need to be connected to yourself. Take care of your energy. Be intentional with who you give access to your heart. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. This year, learn to say no, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. Learn to walk away from things that drain your soul, even if they once felt familiar. Familiar isn't the same as healthy. Familiar doesn't mean you have to stay. Growth often feels like loss in the beginning, but it leads to something greater: peace, clarity, self-love. Healing isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world convinced you to shrink, before you were told you weren't enough, before life hardened your spirit. Your true self is still there, under the scars, under the armor, under the pain. Healing is the journey of coming home to that version of you, the one that is still hopeful, still passionate, still open to joy, love, and life. You owe it to yourself in 2025 to slow down, to rest, to disconnect from the chaos, and reconnect with yourself. Not every moment needs to be productive. Some moments are meant to be still. Some are meant for reflection. Healing requires space. It needs silence. It needs presence. Give that to yourself without guilt. And above all, be patient. Healing takes time. It doesn't have a deadline. You will have good days. You will have setbacks. You will take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. That's okay. You're not broken. You're rebuilding. You're unlearning survival habits and replacing them with love. That's powerful. That's sacred. And it's worth every ounce of effort. This year, make healing your priority. Not because it's easy, but because you're worth the work. Because your peace is priceless. Because your future deserves a healed, whole, and fully alive version of you. And because you owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself in 2025 to surround yourself with growth-minded people, people who challenge you, who support your dreams, who hold you accountable, and who genuinely want to see you win. Life is too short and too precious to spend in the company of those who drain your energy, belittle your vision, or keep you stuck in the same cycle year after year. The people you surround yourself with matter more than you think. They shape your mindset, influence your habits, and either lift you toward your potential or pull you back into comfort and complacency. Take a moment and really evaluate your circle. Do the people closest to you inspire you? Do they push you to be better? Do they speak life into your goals or secretly hope you fail so they feel more comfortable staying the same? It's a hard question, but it's necessary, because your environment will either accelerate your growth or sabotage it. In 2025, you owe it to yourself to be intentional about who gets access to your time, your energy, and your mind. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table, and that's not cruelty, that's clarity. There are people in your life who mean well but carry fear, people who say they care about you but constantly plant seeds of doubt. People who never took the risk, who never chased a dream, and now they project their limitations onto you. It's not your job to fix them. It's your job to protect your future. Growth-minded people think differently. They're not threatened by your success. They're inspired by it. They don't mock your ambition. They feed it. They don't keep score. They lift you when you fall, and they cheer when you rise. They talk about ideas, not just gossip. They see possibility when others see problems. They push you to go deeper, to dream bigger, to do better. You owe it to yourself to find those people. And if you don't have them yet, become that person for yourself first. Be your own cheerleader. Be your own accountability partner. Be your own source of discipline and belief until the right people come. Because like attracts like, the more you evolve, the more you'll naturally attract people who match your mindset. But it starts with your willingness to level up, even if that means letting go of people who refuse to grow with you. Letting go isn't easy. Some people have been in your life for years. They've shared your past, your memories, your struggles. But if they don't respect your vision, if they keep you stuck in who you used to be instead of supporting who you're becoming, then you have to ask yourself, is keeping this relationship worth the cost of my growth? Loyalty is a beautiful quality, but blind loyalty to the wrong people will keep you from the life you were meant to live. In 2025, choose alignment over attachment. Choose growth over comfort. Choose truth over approval. The right people won't require you to shrink. They won't guilt you for changing. They won't roll their eyes at your goals. They'll get it because they're on their own journey too. They know the price of progress, the sacrifice behind success, and the value of accountability. You also owe it to yourself to engage in conversations that stretch you. Don't just spend time with people who tell you what you want to hear. Spend time with people who challenge your assumptions, who offer perspective, who help you think more deeply. Growth happens when we're exposed to new ways of thinking, not when we're surrounded by echo chambers of familiarity. Find mentors, coaches, peers, and friends who have what you want, not just in terms of success, but in terms of character. People who have integrity, who lead with authenticity, who walk their talk. These are the kinds of relationships that will sharpen you, the kind that will remind you of your power when you forget, and the kind that make life not just more successful, but more meaningful. Don't be afraid to outgrow people. It doesn't make you selfish. It means you're evolving. Not everyone is meant to stay in every chapter of your life. Some were only meant for the introduction. Let them go with love and move forward with intention. Because the next chapter of your life requires a new level of you, and that version of you will require a new circle. You owe it to yourself to build a community that reflects your values and fuels your vision. If you want to be disciplined, surround yourself with people who are consistent. If you want to be focused, spend time with people who value their time. If you want to level up financially, mentally, or spiritually, seek out those already living at that level. Learn from them, walk with them. Iron sharpens iron. And remember, your circle isn't just about what they can give you, it's about who you become around them. Do they make you kinder, sharper, more driven, more honest? Your best self isn't created in isolation, it's forged in environments of challenge, encouragement, accountability, and love. So in 2025, take inventory. Audit your relationships. Set boundaries where needed. Make space for new connections that support your evolution. Stop begging people to understand you. Stop shrinking to fit in. Stop pretending to be okay with being overlooked. You are not here to stay small. You are here to grow, to lead, to thrive. And to do that, you need the right people. People who see your greatness, even when you forget. People who remind you of who you are when the doubt creeps in. People who clap when you win and support you when you don't. People who reflect the future you're building, not the past you've outgrown. But you owe it to yourself to grow, and you can't grow in soil that poisons your roots. Choose your circle wisely. Your future depends on it.